I usually don't do this, and I didn't plan to do this, but I have some time and I want to get some things off my chest that have to do with everything that's transpired in the world or pretty much in Minnesota in the last few days. So spare me a few minutes of your time if you like what you hear or any of my content. Please subscribe. It might go a long way someday. I don't monetize this, but it'll be nice to get some better equipment. So we could talk about Renee Goodman, the shooting from ICE, about the Epstein files. One thing I will say, the day that the Epstein files came to a deadline when they had to release some documents or provide a reason, that was the day they attacked Venezuela. And like many other people, I said Trump will go to war just to stop the release of the Epstein files. Lo and behold, we went into another country, invaded a country, kidnapped the president the day that there was a deadline for the Epstein files. Remember when he lost his voice for a week and he didn't make any appearances and there was skepticism of his health, if he was even alive? Turns out he was shouting so much at Congress that wanted to push for the release of the files that he lost his voice. He was screaming at Marjorie Taylor Greene because she was pushing for the release of the Epstein files, in which he said a lot of his friends are going to end up getting hurt. But just when you think we're more divided than ever, when there is a shooting, someone killed, or a murder, now whatever political side you support is who you're going to defend, even if it means defending a murderer or a pedophile in some cases. For some reason, the right, Trump supporters, MAGA world, can't seem to accept that the ICE shooter was in the wrong in that shooting in Minnesota. And a couple of things I wanted to point out. So the recording that came out that everybody said was from his body cam was not his body cam. That was his cell phone. He was walking around recording with his cell phone with his right hand. His holster was also in his right hip, meaning he's right-handed. Before he walked back to the car, before she put in reverse and went forward, he switched. You could tell on the video, he switched from his right hand to his left hand so he could have his right hand free, so he could holster, so he could pull out his gun. So he was already thinking that. He is somebody that's trained in this and trained to be in these kind of situations. A citizen is not trained to be in a situation like this where someone puts a gun to your face and is going to shoot and kill you if you drive your car. Now, for the whole narrative and excuse that she used her car as a deadly weapon, they are trained. There was a memo in 2014 from Border Patrol stating that agents are not allowed and should not step in the way of moving vehicles. They're not supposed to do that. A moving vehicle, if you can move out of the way, is not considered a deadly weapon, and they are not supposed to fire at moving vehicles. So in any grounds, in their own handbook, in their own memos to each other, which is public information online, they are not supposed to, one, get in the way of the car, which he kind of tried to do, but he moved out of the way in time, or two, shoot at a moving vehicle using deadly force as a first and only option. That is not the only option to use if someone is in a vehicle. And for everyone saying that he shot through the front, it was at the edge of the windshield, about 2 inches away from the frame of the vehicle, from where the windshield ends. That's not the front. And you can shoot that shot standing on the side. You don't have to be in the front of the vehicle. And let's say that first shot didn't connect or kill her. The other two shots were standing next to her as she drove by. She's driving by and he's shooting her standing next to her. Why would you fire two shots someone standing driving past you? If someone is driving past you, there is no threat of getting ran over. There's no excuse. You don't have to be, you don't have to serve a political side and become an expert in gun safety, in protocols and ICE and whatever. The internet has been flooded with everybody giving their opinion, screenshots, videos, inserting text of what, trying to justify this. There is no justification for someone getting shot at point blank range as they drive past you. He wanted to do that. That's why he switched his cell phone from his right hand to his left hand before he reapproached the vehicle. And we already saw that she was calm. She wasn't in distress, how they tried to use that. And maybe she was reckless and she was going crazy and she tried to run him over in the last second. No, she was calm. There's just no excuse to that. But the worst part of all this is seeing everybody fold themselves into pretzels, trying to become experts in forensics and crime scene or murder investigation and video analysis just to justify something, just so their side won't look bad. You kind of expect that from the propaganda machine. You expect that from someone as soulless, as evil as Trump or Vance. But the audacity, the nerve to come out and call her a domestic terrorist when her body was still probably not even cold yet. A domestic terrorist when there's no signs of any of that. Oh, and some people are trying to point out that she was a lesbian. Doesn't have to do with anything. We're talking about murder here. So someone deserves to die because someone in a mask, in a ski mask, which they're not supposed to have in the first place, approaches your vehicle, tries to open your door, which they're not supposed to do, and you try to drive away, and you're going to get shot because of that. You could go ahead and say 1,000,000 times she tried to use their vehicle as deadly force. That agent knows getting in the way is not an excuse. He could have moved out of the way without killing her. How do we know that? Because he moved out of the way. But he killed her because he shot her as she drove past him. You know, I knew J.D. Vance was a special kind of a shell of a person, a special kind of soulless creature. I know he's a puppet. He doesn't have anything on the inside other than what Peter Thiel and Palantir and Heritage Foundation put inside him, and they're controlling him because he is the epitome of a puppet in politics. And whatever they did to him, they put him in the lab, they took out his soul. So for him to come out and insult her and say this was a tragedy of her own making, right? And they go and they're hiding him. Jonathan Ross, the IC agent, the FBI goes to his house and takes everything out. And they're going to investigate, but they're going to leave the officials from the area that it pertains to their investigation. They're going to exclude them out because they don't want anybody to prosecute one of their guys despite it being a complete and heinous act, a murder being justified. And how do we know what they're saying is utter, complete bullshit? Because Trump is saying that he got hit. He got ran over. Please, somebody send me the video of him getting ran over. And he's surprised he's still alive. That he went to the hospital. We don't know that. He walked to his car without any sign of injury, drove in his car, his personal vehicle, and drove away. So seeing this, I'm not sure what's the worst part. The fact that we have government authorized murders of U.S. civilians, or the propaganda machine that's coming from the administration, or all the people in this country that I probably walk next to or walk across in the store or breathe the same air that are justifying this murder because they're trying to protect the reputation of their politician, which their identity lies and their whole lifestyle relies on. It's been pretty difficult. I've been sick to my stomach from seeing all that. Even if they didn't try to justify her murder, the way the murder happened, It was disgusting. It was cold-blooded. But then to have the administration, to have people in power, to have people that are supposed to serve U.S. citizens, serve the community, come out with those blatant lies, telling you to believe something different than what your ears could hear and what your eyes could see. That's the worst. There's no worse type of form of government. We are not in a free country right now. We are not in a free country anymore. All ICE has done was go into cities, to neighborhoods, terrorize, create chaos, try to create fear. The end game also is to get them shot. They want to get ICE agents shot and killed. They want to have reason to pretend it's a civil war. They want to have reason to cancel the midterms this year because they know they're going to lose and Trump will be impeached. Again, it's made me sick to my stomach. I don't know. I mean, it's not even about politics, about so much about, what policy are you voting for? The MAGA Republicans have gone everything against what actual Republicans have stood for all these years. You're just going by whatever Trump and his administration tells you to believe, tells you to say, tells you to repeat, and you're just like their henchmen, like their bots going out there and doing the dirty work for them so they could stay in power, so they could continue to get rich, so Israel could stay raking in those billions at your expense because you don't want to wake up. It was a cold-blooded murder. It was disgusting. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. He should have been trained to handle the situation better. He wasn't. She had waved also. She had waved his vehicle by. Anyways, that's enough of this chaotic world. All I can say is, I hate to say I told you so, because we saw this coming. You didn't believe us. You didn't believe Project 2025. Now it's here, and we're living and molding into a dictatorship every day that passes by. So if you like any of my content, or if you like this video, please feel free to follow. The nose knows. Till next time, peace out.